Hey guys, Feuerrm here, and today I will be testing the Ginetta G60 in multiplayer in Asphalt 9 at 3 stars because, well, this was near the end of the D-Class season, and I wasn't going to be able to 4-star until afterward, so I figured I'd just make a video now. If I do manage to 4-star the Ginetta, I might make another video about it later. But for now, this car at 3 stars is actually not as bad as you might think, because the Ginetta has gotten a bit of a negative reputation ever since people first managed to get it in the JESKO event. Probably because at stock it was quite underwhelming. You see, a lot of people considered this car, or at least expected it, to be an Elise killer. You know, a car that would have the same stats as the Elise at max, except having better top speed, and thus it could beat the Hemi and Shelby on some tracks. But at stock it was quite obvious that that was not the case, and here this car tries to 360 me or goes crazy, I don't know what. But after you star this car up to especially 3 and 4 stars, it actually starts getting decent. Its nitro efficiency gets better, its drifting gets better. Well, really, everything about it gets better since you upgrade all the stats, but it really improves the driving experience a lot more than some other cars. You guys might remember when the Huracan first came out, at stock, and 1 star, 2 stars, low stars like that, people weren't too keen on it. But then after starring it up to max, which most people, at least with a decent amount of tokens, probably have at least close to now, they got to see that, hey, this car is definitely one of the top cars of Class B, perhaps even the king on a lot of tracks. This thing is pretty good, a lot better than it was at stock. Sort of the same thing with this car. While it's not any king of Class D, I do believe it is worse than the Shelby, Hemi, and Targa on the majority of tracks. It is quite decent for multiplayer due to its pretty good handling and nitro efficiency at max, and speed quite a bit better than the Elise. Although I do not have the 4-star one to show you how it does in multiplayer, hopefully you will be able to see that it would be pretty good considering how good this 3-star one is doing against maxed Elises, maxed Hemis, and maxed Shelbys. In multiplayer, this thing is better suited than events, I would say. The reason I know so much about how this car drives at max is because I have driven it at max. A lot of you may have heard about or seen this already, but I made a sort of test drive video about this car on the Asphalt channel, so go check that out if you would like to see how this car performs at max versus the stock version on 2 different tracks, one top speed oriented one and one more twisty one, so you can see the real difference. And it's actually quite a big difference, which really goes in line with what I was saying earlier about this car improving a lot from stock to max. Not max pro, forgive me if I say max pro. Still got some Asphalt 8 terms locked in the brain, I guess. So this race here is a pretty close one, at least in the first lap, against another Ginetta, which is maxed, and so I'm glad I got to race this guy, because I really did not see a whole lot of other Ginettas in the season compared to the amount of Elises and Shelbys and Hemis that I was seeing. Now that sort of makes sense, as most people don't have their Ginettas to the point yet where it would be super competitive against them, so I'm just glad I got to race this one here. Now, the current season that's going on, that's just started this morning or yesterday, depending on your time zone, is the B-Class series. Now, this might be a good one for me to test multiple cars in, including a perhaps upgraded some of the lower cars and my maxed Corvette, some things like that, so there are definitely some potential B-Class videos coming in the near future. We'll see though, as I've got some other great videos planned as well. So there we do manage to beat that max Ginetta by quite a long shot, pulling away quite a lot on the second lap, and we both beat all those Elises. The Elise was probably the most common car I saw in this multiplayer season. And this is, again, going along with the same sort of trend that I've talked about earlier about most people in the game who are average skill, I would say, going for more of the cars that have very good nitro efficiency, very good handling, just because they're easy to drive and they're very forgiving. Now, the thing is, you guys have noticed that these cars definitely don't have as high of top speed as some of the less easy to drive cars. And so this leads to an interesting situation in the D-Class multiplayer season. If you're a good driver, you can pretty much beat almost everybody else driving Elises if you're in a Hemi or a Shelby. Now, the Ginetta, it's not quite as easy as you can see in this race here. My top speed isn't so much more than them that it's easy to get ahead of them as it might be in the Shelby or Hemi. But at max, this car can go 188 miles per hour, so it would definitely be a bit easier to beat Elise releases consistently there. I currently need 41 more blueprints in order to 4-star this car, which will take a lot of syndicate coins that I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to get. Another good reason for me to just do a 3-star review of this car. But I have managed to unlock the Ferrari 812, but it took 350,000 or so syndicate coins. I had worse luck on that than most people, it seemed. In this race, we pulled ahead of those Elises on the second lap to come in first, now for a very close race against Pro TM Lugal in his Hemi. So I know I said in a previous video that I was most likely not going to be able to win the JESKO, and that still stands, but I did think I would be able to at least unlock the 812, which I have done, and 4-star the Ginetta. Well, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to 4-star the Ginetta, because that 812 took 350,000 syndicate coins. I do not have nearly enough left, even after I complete every single pin mission that I possibly can, in order to 4-star the Ginetta. Because once I complete all the pinned missions, I'll have approximately 100,000 syndicate coins. Now, it took me 130,000 syndicate coins in order to go from 2 to 3-star, which took about 32 blueprints. Now, I do have like 1,800 tokens, so I could buy another 30,000. Perhaps if I get up to 3,000 by the end of the event, I could buy another 70,000, and then I might just be able to 4-star the Ginetta if I get decent luck. You guys see how awful this event is. One thing that makes it so ridiculously bad is because of the gambling aspect. Now, of course, in the past, there's always been gambling aspects with the packs, because sometimes you don't get more than 3, and sometimes you get 27 or whatever if you get a jackpot. But these packs are worse. You are not guaranteed anything. You could technically buy an infinite amount of packs and get 0 blueprints out of them. Not that that would happen, because there's a 20% chance that you do get one in each slot, so chances are you will get 2 blueprints per 10 times pack. But there have been many ones where I've gotten 0, and thus I've gotten worse than the statistical amount that I would normally get for that amount of syndicate coins, which is why I would so much rather just pay a specified amount in the Legends store, or the Syndicate store I believe it's called, for each of the different kinds of blueprints that I need. And you can buy some of those, like you can buy 5 of the 812 blueprints, you can buy 5 of the Gentiaculone blueprints, but they only have a stock of 5. You have to get the rest through packs, unlike the Alfieri. And get this, if there had been 50 812 blueprints in the store, I would have been able to spend exactly 300,000 syndicate coins and be able to get the car. Now, packs cost 10,800 for 10 times. Theoretically, I should get 2 812 blueprints in each of those, thus saving me 1,200 blueprints per time, allowing me to get the 812 only spending around 270,000. That should be the statistical amount of ones that you'd have to buy. But because of my bad luck, it took me 80,000 more than that. That is more than you would get from all the pinned missions in almost any stage. You know what, guys? I'd better save some of this for my upcoming rant video about the JESKO event. There's gonna be something like that. I don't know when, but it is coming. Here we come in second place after a very close race throughout. GG to both of the pro team members in that race. Now for our final race in the video, in which we are facing primarily a Shelby GT350R at 4-star, which is my favorite car in Asphalt 9, as you guys probably know, and it is a better car than the 3-star Ginetta. In this race, we will see, though, that the Ginetta really can hold its own if you know how to drive it properly. And keep in mind, this is not a rush season, this was the Class D series, so the people that I'm facing, most of them are going to be quite skilled players, as this guy was. Now it's time for me to give my general review of this car. Well, it is needed in order to get the JESKO, so if you're going for the JESKO, I would recommend that you have at least 30,000 tokens, which most people don't. But if you even think you have a chance, you have to get this car 4-star. So yeah, if you're not going for the JESKO, it really just depends on how many syndicate coins you actually do manage to get. I wouldn't really recommend spending tokens, much at least, on syndicate coins to get this car, because the Shelby and Hemi and Target are all technically better. Now, this car can do quite good in multiplayer, as you can see here. I just don't really think it's worth spending thousands and thousands of tokens on, as I have had to do, because I thought I was going to be able to win the JESKO, but now it turns out I'm not going to be able to. And I would also say, only really try to get this car if you actually have enough coins or capability to get coins to get at least 2 3-star, because at 1 and 2-star, I mean, it's basically useless. However, at 4-star and even 3-star, as we've seen in this video, I mean, it can do quite decently in multiplayer, perhaps do pretty well on some twisty tracks and events. However, I'm not entirely sure about that yet. It has pretty good acceleration, top speed, nitro efficiency, handling. It's not the greatest in any aspect, but certainly better than average in a lot of them for Class D. So we're coming up to the end of this race, and although this Shelby has tried to pass us multiple times, it hasn't worked, and we take the victory. Thank you for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and Forza content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!